Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Gwilda Wiyaka's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the Science of Magic or endorsed in any manner by Gwilda Wiyaka, Relmar McConnell Media Company, its affiliated networks, stations, or employees. Welcome to the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, a program dedicated to uncovering the unified nature of reality and humanity's ever-evolving place as truly galactic beings. For more information on the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Welcome to the Science of Magic, a place where science and magic come together to transform fact into evolving truth. We're proudly coming to you through the ever-expanding X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, and can also be found on our website, thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour we'll be exploring a better way. There's a silent crisis in our culture. We're failing our children. We're supposed to be one of the richest countries in the world. As citizens, we pay horrendous amount in taxes, yet our educational system is in a world of trouble. From budget cuts and cookie-cutter approach to shrinking curriculum and overworked, underpaid teachers, children are slipping through the cracks in droves. From the age of 4, our children are forced to act outside of their nature. Be quiet, sit still, monofocus on things they have little or no interest in for hour after grueling hour. Inadvertently, children are being taught they're not perfect as they are, but must conform to arbitrary rules or be considered bad. Rather than design the school system around the children's needs, we're bending the children around the rigid system. A child's worthiness is based upon national standard testing they must pass or be found subpar. Instead of addressing the increasing diversity of religions among our students, their spiritual aspect is totally neglected and ignored. They spend copious hours in an impersonal institution with no interest in the individual. Burdened with homework, they go home to exhausted, overworked parents and more often than not, a TV set for companionship. Children have become a side note in our consumer-driven society. We pacify them and console ourselves by purchasing games and gadgets in place of spending time with them. After all, we don't have time. We're too busy earning the money to buy gadgets, gizmos, and status symbols. Predictably, children are showing the negative effect of being forced out of their nature, as evidenced by behavior problems, an increase in ADD, ADHD, depression, suicide, and outright violence. There has got to be a better way. Several of my indigenous shamanic teachers shared the glaring difference between how children of the tribe were historically raised and educated before they were put into orphanages and forced into the existing school systems. The entire tribe co-parented the children. They were not restricted in their expression, but allowed to run and play in nature. Each child was carefully observed as they started showing aptitude or interest in a particular area, whether it be healing, flint knapping, or shield making. The person in the tribe who excelled in the skill would take them under their wing and share their knowledge. The children weren't restricted to one area of study, but allowed to develop their own particular combination of skills from their natural interests and desires. They were not disciplined or criticized, but directed through acceptance, love, and praise. Children were the treasure of the tribe and treated as such. After all, they were seen as the future. Controlling children through punitive measures, guilt, or shame was not part of the equation. Individuality was not honored, it was encouraged. The tribe believed children came perfect with an inherent design that adults had the responsibility and privilege of nurturing to its full potential. If one of the children failed, it was a reflection on the adults, not the child. We cannot hope to go back to indigenous ways. There's far too many of us on the planet to support it. There still has to be a better way. Recently, I started hearing about an organization dedicated to finding a better way that can be incorporated into our existing systems. Intrigued, I set upon a search to find them. I'm happy to report not only was I successful, but we have a representative from their foundation with us this hour. Our guest, Andres A. Gonzalez, is the Director of Marketing for the Holistic Life Foundation. Andres has so kindly agreed to share their mission, goals, and exciting findings to our listeners. After this commercial break, I'll introduce Andres, and together we'll explore mindfulness as a better way. So don't you go away. You're listening to The Science of Magic. Prior innovative broadcasts can always be found on our website, thescienceofmagic.net. The Science of Magic is produced by Relmar McConnell Media Company, Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
This is Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. While walking along Kaanapali Beach in Maui this past year, I kept discovering all these shells and coral in the shape of hearts. My dialogue with Divinity was very simple. Do you want me to do a retreat to heal people's hearts in Maui next year? And of course, the answer was yes. As a master spiritual teacher, I am offering you a neat retreat called Rise, May 8th through the 12th, 2017, and the chance of a lifetime to rest at a 5-star resort for 5 days and experience a spiritual renewal of your heart and soul. Kaanapali is one of the top 5 beaches in the world. This stunning resort has undergone a $40 million renovation. I walked the entire property, checked out the room choices on your behalf, and I must say it is stunning. Our conference room faces the ocean with sliding glass doors. Maui is known as Mother Maui because it is a soft, gentle, healing energy. In the embrace of Mother Maui, you will feel yourself rising from the limitations of an ordinary life to an extraordinary journey of peace, bliss, and harmony. A greater sense of clarity. Our Rise retreat ignites renewal in the sacred elements of air, water, earth, fire, and wind. There's plenty of free time to enjoy all that Maui has to offer. A small deposit is required now to reserve your space, as this retreat, it will sell out. For more details, please go to johannacarroll.com and register today. Aloha, and I'll see you in mystical Maui.
Welcome back. This is the Science of Magic, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour, Andres Gonzalez, is the Director of Marketing for Holistic Life Foundation. The HLF is a Baltimore-based 501c3 nonprofit organization committed to nurturing the wellness of children and adults in underserved communities. Through a comprehensive approach which helps children develop their inner lives through yoga, mindfulness, and self-care, HLF demonstrates deep commitment to learning, community, and stewardship of the environment. HLF is also committed to developing high-quality, evidence-based programs and curriculum to help improve community well-being. Their website, hlfinc.org. Andres, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's so nice to have found you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the Holistic Life Foundation? Where did it originate and how long has it been around?
Yeah, so Holistic Life Foundation originated in Baltimore City. It's in Maryland, here in the United States. It was founded by myself and 2 other gentlemen, the Smith brothers, Ali and Atman Smith. Basically, what we do is, when we first started in 2001, the goal was to really focus on underserved communities and provide them with techniques for them to be able to manage themselves, self-regulate, and be able to be healthier individuals mentally, physically, and emotionally. We noticed as we continue to expand and to grow that these techniques and this service was needed by everyone, whether you're from an underserved community or an affluent community. We oftentimes like to use the example that Johnny may not have his parents at home in an underserved community because they may be imprisoned, they may be dead, they may be abusing drugs at the moment, so the kids don't see them ever. But that same thing can happen with affluent Johnny, in that his parents may not be there because they work all the time. So there's still that separation and that need of love and compassion in the household, and these techniques are used to kind of get youth and individuals in general of all ages to be able to manage themselves and kind of deal with the chaotic environment that is the external world.
Yeah, it's getting more and more chaotic too, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, is it?
Yeah, yeah. What is the mission at this point? It sounds like it's evolved. What is the HLF mission statement?
Yeah, so right now our goal really is to continue building our foundation here in Baltimore, to expand our reach in hopefully all the schools. We're trying to get citywide here in Baltimore. We're going to continue training individuals in these techniques so that we can expand outside of Baltimore as well. And we have done stuff outside of Baltimore all across the nation and some international stuff as well. So we've been in Germany and Austria and Scotland and England and in probably like 20 of the states in the United States. The goal is to find individuals in their communities who are interested in this work, to train them in our techniques, our practices, and our engagement skills so that they can start facilitating the programs in their communities. They'll gain a sense of ownership and a sense of empowerment, and they'll be the ones making the difference in trying to create that sense of family and community in their areas.
Which institutions do you target? It sounds like it's not just school systems.
Yeah. So, we get highlighted for a lot of the youth work that we do in schools, but we do basically anywhere. So we do drug rehab centers, mental health facilities, homeless shelters, elderly homes, corporate classes. We do stuff just for personal reasons. People just want to bring their family in and get them a few techniques. Really, any and everyone. We know that the need is out there, and our goal is just to provide skills for people to be able to use throughout the rest of their lives to be able to manage themselves.
So I understand you're introducing meditation and breathing techniques to children and adults. What's the purpose of this, and what results are you seeing?
We always use the breath. I mean, the breath is so important, and it's something that is such a great tool for individuals to use to regulate themselves. So we always start off with that. First off, majority of people breathe improperly. So there's a lot of mouth breathing going on. They don't use all the full capacity of their nose, which is a filter, heater, humidifying system, and they don't really incorporate the full capacity of their lungs, which is impacting them health-wise in regards to, purifying their blood and helping with their digestion. So beyond the physical benefits of breathing properly, it's just a great tool to use to manage yourself in heightened areas when you're either angry or you're stressed or you're frustrated. You're able to regulate yourself based on your breath. So I don't know how many times I've been in a scenario where two young children are getting in an argument or they got into a physical confrontation, and you break them apart from their fight, and you tell the child, hey, put your hand on your heart, and they can feel their heart just beating out of their chest. And I say to them, do your breath. Do the deep breath. You know how to do it. Come on, I showed it to you. And they'll sit there and they'll close their eyes. They'll start breathing in and out of their nose. Nice, long, deep breaths. And they can feel that change of pace from that pounding heart slowing down slowly. And it's amazing because it's like they open their eyes and they look at me like the little light bulb pops up on the top of their head. And they're like, wow. And they always say, thank you, Mr. Andy. And I say, hey, don't thank me. I didn't do anything. You did it. And I think that's what it is we're really trying to show individuals that they're in control. And it's just a matter of being mindful and aware of your feelings, of your emotions, of your surroundings. And when you are confronted with certain situations that may get you kind of out of that present moment or off of your balanced state, that we'll have tools and techniques like breathing techniques or meditations for you to be able to center yourself, to be in the present moment, and instead of being impulsive or reactionary, to be able to respond to the situation that's happening in a calm and cool manner.
So what are these techniques based in?
The majority of these techniques are yogic principles. Our teacher kind of drew from a little bit of everywhere. So when we do some of the postures, the yogic postures, we also use some Tai Chi in there, a lot of mindfulness concepts as well, whether it's mindful eating or listening or mindful walking, and just really pulling from any and everywhere. Our teacher used to always say to us that, you need to have a wide variety of techniques because of the different populations you're going to be teaching to. And you can imagine that I teach a completely different set of skills to the pre-K kids that I would to an elderly home. And it's not as much that I'm teaching different skills because I'm using the basic same practices, whether it's a breath or a pose or meditation, but it's really the language and how you frame it to them. Because the goal is to really show them how practical it is and how relatable it is to their everyday lives. You know, so often people say, oh, well, yeah, I did my yoga today. And I'm like, well, that's great. But, I mean, you can do your yoga for an hour. Hey, say you do physical yoga for 4 hours. There's still 20 hours left in the day. And what are you going to do then? You're not going to be compassionate. You're not going to be empathetic. You're not going to be loving. No. So we say to people that, you know, these concepts, they're not something you do, but they're something you are. And what it is as you continue to go inward and continue that self-reflection and understanding yourself, that you become a more loving, compassionate individual, and then that kind of spreads to others. And that's kind of our goal. We like to say a phrase sometimes, we call it love zombies, is what we're kind of trying to create. We're trying to infect people with love and allow them to go out, and as they continue to see that love and light within themselves and everyone else, that the love continues to spread and spread, and there's no way that we just can't keep infecting everyone with love so that all of us can just be one again, which, you know, ideally is the ultimate goal.
Oh, that's beautifully stated, Andre. So speak to me a little bit about what you're talking about, mindfulness.
Yeah, so, you know, mindfulness has become very popular recently. The way we describe it is 3 basic principles that we talk about when we use our definition of mindfulness, and it's about being aware, first and foremost. So awareness of yourself, of your emotions, of your feelings, of your surroundings. And once you're aware and you're paying attention to that, then you're able to use some of the techniques that we do, whether it's breathing or meditation, to center yourself. And sometimes people say, what do you mean by centered? It's being balanced, being in that present moment, just being, you know, not worrying about the past and what happened, not worrying about the future and what's to come, but just being in that moment. And that's the final part, is just being present. And, you know, it's amazing. I say this often, how, you know, we call ourselves human beings, but so often we're not being. If anything, we should be called human doings, because we're always doing stuff. You know, we're always, oh, I got this to do, I have this to do. And even if you're sitting still, your mind is still just going and going, and those ruminating thoughts that overwhelm individuals throughout their day, where it may look like they're just relaxing, but they have everything on their mind. Well, I have this bill I have to pay, and oh, did I lock the door, or do I got to pick the kids up after school, or I got to make sure that I can't believe the boss is getting on me, or did I forget my wife's anniversary, or this, you know, just all these things constantly racing throughout their heads. And what we're trying to get individuals to do is use some of these breathing techniques to be able to remove those ruminating thoughts so they can be in the present moment, and so they're not overwhelmed all day long by the bombardment of external stimuli that we have to face all the time.
It does seem like we're either living in regret of the past or fear for the future, rather than being present where we can do something about it, right?
So true, so true.
Do you find the younger the child, the easier to get them present?
You know, I think so. You know, they're just so pure then. You know, it's almost like the world hasn't messed them up yet. No, but no, I mean, yeah, I think that kids are very open. They're sponges, you know, and they want to learn. They're eager to learn, and they're excited when they're presented with something that's fun and that allows them to be in control. You know, oftentimes kids are always told what to do, whether it's by their parents or their teachers or someone. It's always, hey, you got to do this way. You got to do this. You got to do this. Don't do that. So I think that when they start recognizing, hey, I'm in control of myself, it empowers them. And I think that when they do find that inner place within them, that inner peaceful place that they can go to, it's such a tool they need, especially with the environments that they're living in, where they're surrounded by drugs and crime and gunshots and sirens and helicopters above them, where if this outside stuff is too much for them, they find this place they can go to within them that is their peaceful little oasis. And I think that is so healing for them, that when they realize that, they just want to learn more and more and more. So I think it's easier to get them to at least try it. I think with adults, if anything, when they realize the benefits, then they kind of skyrocket past the kids, because they're like, wow, I've never felt this way before. But for sure, I would say youth, they're sponges. They want to absorb it. And so long as you present it to them and frame it to them in the right way, then I think they eat it up.
Well, they're amazing, aren't they, the little ones? And it's like,
Oh
it
my
sounds to
goodness.
me like this is a much more natural way for them to be than what we impose on them over time.
For sure. I think that, if someone would have taught me this when I was younger, I make this joke all the time to the kids. I always say to them, I would be Superman. Like, I think I would literally be flying around and stuff. And they always look at me like, you're crazy, Mr. Andy. And I'm like, no, like, no one taught me any of this stuff. I went through higher education. I got my master's degree, and no one told me how to breathe the right way.
How to breathe.
Yeah.
We're going to have to take a break, and we'll pick up on this on the other side of this commercial break. Andres and I will return to our discussion. We're coming to you through the land of leading-edge paranormal broadcasting, the X Zone Broadcast Network. Don't miss out on the other fine shows and hosts on xzbn.net. You're listening to The Science of Magic, thescienceofmagic.net. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. We will be back, so don't you go away.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Welcome back. This is the Science of Magic, a place where magic and science come together to promote enlightenment. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour, Andres Gonzalez, is the Director of Marketing of the Holistic Life Foundation. HLF is committed to developing programs and curriculum to improve community well-being. We were talking about how the young ones respond so well to the breathing exercises and that how this is really probably a more natural way for us to be. And yet we go through higher education, and by the time we spit out the other side, we don't even know how to breathe. Do you want to say more to that?
Yeah, I mean, I just going back to that, I really thought it was so amazing how no one taught me the proper techniques, how to breathe or how to regulate myself, how to manage my emotions and to deal with stuff that's going on. You see it in schools often now where if a child gets in trouble, the first thing they do is they say, all right, well, you're acting up, we're going to send you to the office. So then when the child goes to the office, he's just even more frustrated because now he knows his parents are going to get called. He's going to get even more trouble at home than he just did at school. So now he starts acting up more and more and more. And next thing you know, he gets suspended from the school. But then you didn't give him anything at all to help him out with his scenario. Instead, why wouldn't we give them techniques to be able to manage themselves when they are faced with certain scenarios they're facing in the day, so that the next time that they're presented with that situation, they're able to take care of themselves? It just always blows my mind that no one taught me any of this type of stuff. And I think that when I started getting into the practice myself and I witnessed the transformation that occurred within me, that I knew that I needed to spread this to all the kids that I could, because I knew that if we could impact them at a young age, it would be so beneficial for them throughout their lives.
Mm-hmm. Are you finding any religious conflicts when you're introducing these forms?
We've been lucky that we really haven't been faced with that often. When we first got started, we were going to do a study with Johns Hopkins and Penn State just to see, the impact of these techniques. Again, these are ancient techniques that me and the founders knew. Like, we would be sitting in the room with the researchers like, so what do you think this does? And I'd be like, wait, I don't think it does this. I know it does this. This is, I didn't make this stuff up. This is going on for a long time. Right. But, and they would be saying stuff to me like, okay, yeah, well, you got to make sure in the curriculum you take all the Sanskrit words out of it. And we're looking at them like, that's, it's a 200-page curriculum, and every pose that we have in there is Sanskrit word. Yeah, and that's the way we learned it. So the one gentleman, Dr. Mark Greenberg from Penn State, he's the one that let us know. He's like, look, just do it. Trust me, it's going to make things a lot easier. We got to make this completely secular, just in case, because there might be people that are assuming that you're bringing in religion into the schools. So lucky for us, he kind of put that out to us right away. So when we go into schools, we're very precautious about our wording and the way we say things. So we won't even say we're teaching yoga. We'll say we're teaching stress and relaxation. We won't even say the word meditation, because they might relate that to yoga, and then they'll relate yoga to Buddhism or Hinduism, and then they'll assume that we're teaching religion, so we call it a silent reflection. So we're very careful with the way we worded it, but I just think we've been lucky as well. I mean, it's amazing. We'll go into a school, and I'll know I'm not supposed to say yoga in this particular school, so I'll come into the school and say, hey, I'm here to teach stress and relaxation, and the lady's like, no problem, and she'll get on the loudspeaker and say, all 5th and 6th graders report to the gym for yoga. I'm like, I don't understand how this works. We had one, yeah, right. We had one instance once where a young lady was in a professional development day where one of my staff was teaching all the teachers, and he said to them when he was doing a breathing exercise, he said, use your imagination as you breathe in, see all that healing energy coming into your body, and when you breathe out, see any negative energy leaving out your body. And when the lady heard the word energy, it overwhelmed her. And he said she dropped to her knees and started praying and crying. And he's looking at me like, did I mess up? And I'm like, no, you didn't mess up. Like, it's energy. when a teacher says to their class, hey, the energy's kind of off in here, no one yells at them. Or when you rub your feet on the carpet and you shock somebody, that's electrical energy. There's energy in our bodies. But we just made sure, we just ended up approaching the lady and explaining to her, hey, look, this is not religious-based at all. These are just tools and techniques that we're using to help individuals. And we clarified it with her, and she was a little overwhelmed at first, but she got over it, and she understood that, we're just in there trying to give people tools for themselves. And we've been very lucky. Again, myself, I practice certain things that we don't teach in the schools. So I do mantras, and there's certain meditations I do where there's a lot of Sanskrit terminology that we just don't use in the schools, just to be extra careful and precautious so that we don't get any pushback. Because the goal is to try to get it into the schools and not have people fighting us and saying, oh, you can't teach my kids this or you can't teach my kids that.
Exactly. I was from the day and age when you would start each day with a pledge allegiance to the flag, and then you would go into prayer and then start your day. And I remember looking forward to that because I just relaxed everybody, put us all on the same page. And so it sounds like this has the potential of filling that gap of centering people while religion has been banned from the schools.
For sure. I mean, in one of our programs, the Mindful Moment program, we have it that there's a recording at the beginning of the day and then the end of the day. It's a 15-minute recording, and it leads the entire school through some breathing, a little bit of movement, and through a meditation to get them ready to center themselves before they get started for the day so they can clear their minds and be 100% there, present at school, to work on their academics. And then at the end of the day, to kind of clear their heads from their academic day, get all that stuff out of them a little so they can prepare themselves to go back in their neighborhoods and be present with their families. And it's so impactful. It's funny, Ali and Atma, they both went to a Quaker school. So they have meaningful worship at the beginning of the days. And that'd be a time where it'd be like a meditation. It'd be silence. And they said the first time that they went to a church, it was like a Baptist church, Southern Baptist church, they're whispering to each other like, hey, when are we going to do the meditation? Where's the meditation at? And why is this so long? And why are people singing? And what's going on? And it was funny. They said it was so overwhelming to them because they weren't just similar to what you were saying, where you were used to it and you enjoyed it. And I'm like you. I remember throughout my childhood, every day was the Pledge of Allegiance. You said it every single day. I mean, we weren't blessed to have an opportunity to do a prayer like you were, but I feel like things like that are really important because, we're expecting our children to excel in school without giving them tools to deal with what's going on outside of school. So if you come into school one day and you haven't eaten appropriately, you didn't get enough sleep because of the situation in your home, you're not dressed right, so kids are making fun of you, and then you come into the school and you don't get any time to just kind of be with yourself, how are you supposed to succeed? It's like we're setting them up for failure. And I think that these pauses, these moments of silence that everyone needs, just a break for a second, just to stop and just to be, are so necessary. And I think that that's what we're hoping to do, is provide them with those every single day. And then they'll hopefully start incorporating that into their day-to-day lives. And it just keeps flourishing and flourishing in that manner, hopefully.
There's a concept that I read that you guys use, and it's called reciprocal teaching. Would you tell me about that, please?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's one of the things I think that makes our program very successful and really allows us to impact the entire community. Oftentimes, parents won't get involved with what we're doing that often. They're so busy with all they got to do, and we try to get them to come over to the after-school program or with hold dinners for them or provide them with stress reduction classes, and a lot of times they won't show up that often. So what we do is this reciprocal teaching model where we teach the kids to teach the kids. So if you were to come visit one of our programs and you walked in, you'd see a little pre-K kid leading everyone, a class of 60 kids. Inhale deep, exhale it out. They'll be in the front leading it all. And the goal is so that when they go into their neighborhoods and they go into their homes and they see people with whatever it is they're facing, whether it's stress or frustration or anger, and they'll start teaching these techniques. And you've seen it work. Right? We've seen people in our neighborhood that we've gone up to and said, look, your daughter is not doing the yoga in the program, and we really, because we do academics and enrichment, we make it a nice, well-rounded program. But for us, the main thing is these yogic and mindful concepts of centering yourself and being able to regulate. And we're like, I think she's taking advantage of us because she knows that we know you, and she's just not doing anything. And the parent will be like, you had the wrong child. Yesterday I came home, I was stressed out. And she's like, Mom, you need to relax. Why don't you sit down? I'm going to do some breathing with you, and let's meditate. So it's amazing how that's how it starts spreading, and that's how it's transformed a neighborhood. We live in, our central school is in northwest Baltimore, so it's home to where the Freddie Gray uprising just occurred. It's right there where that uprising occurred, is in the epicenter of where that school was. So these kids are dealing with so much trauma, and the neighborhood, you can imagine the tension in the neighborhood. And when I first moved in the neighborhood, I stick out because I'm a light-skinned guy. I'm the only light-skinned guy in the neighborhood. And people would say to me all the times, either, hey, what precinct you work at? Like I'm an undercover police officer. Or, hey, do you need this? So they thought I was there to get some drugs because I stood out. And so that's how they recognized me and spoke to me when I was in the neighborhood when I first moved in 10, 12 years ago. Now when I walk down the neighborhood, in the same neighborhood where all this uprising went, I'll walk down the street and people will say to me, hey, will yoga get me to stop smoking cigarettes? Or, hey, yoga man, what's the first step of meditation? I mean, it's amazing the transformation that's happened in our community. And it comes from that reciprocal teaching model, getting the kids to go out into their families and with their friends and their peers and to teach these techniques. And the goal is to bring that neighborhood feel again. A lot of times we say that the reason people call bad neighborhoods the hood is because the neighbors moved out. So it was a neighborhood, but then once all the neighbors moved out because of crack or the crime or whatever, now it's just the hood. And I feel like that's what we're doing with these techniques. And we always come from a place of love. So using the love and the compassion, I think it's really formed a community, and it's made the hood turn back into a neighborhood.
Oh, beautifully stated. I am an international teacher in Taekwondo, and in Taekwondo, it's the merit that you've reached, not your age. So we'll do the same thing. I'll have, little ones because they're, a red belt standing up and teaching adults. And it does so much for their self-esteem and their involvement, doesn't it?
Oh, my goodness, so much. It's so empowering for them, and for kids who sometimes don't have that, who may kind of be an outcast to their peers and to everyone, and for them to be up front and to be able to project and to speak and to be a leader in front of everyone, it's so empowering. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's what we're really, really missing is that respect. Children don't get any respect until they're adults, and then they've already been damaged by the lack of respect.
So true, goodness.
So it gives them a place to excel, to be respected, to be called ma'am or sir. And I've seen such a difference in the small ones that have been trained in this way. So I'm really, really glad you're bringing this in. On the other side of a break that we're just about to take, I'd love to get into more about your mission statement, how you're spreading it around, and how people can find your services. Andres and I will be back shortly. You're listening to The Science of Magic, thescienceofmagic.net, the place where altruistic professionals of science and the esoteric create common ground for the betterment of our world. We're brought to you by the leader in paranormal, spirituality, alternative health programming, the X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net.
As host of Dialogue with Divinity, I am thrilled to join the X Zone Broadcast Network and their growing number of affiliates. My quest for a connection to the divine ignited my successful career path as an international spiritual counselor for over 40 years, and author of 4 books, and well-known metaphysical educator. My clients call me their spiritual mama. So my job is to offer you a radio show to help you grow spiritually with wisdom and get specific tools from guests who are experts in their field. Tune in to Dialogue with Divinity and be part of the conversation with Spirit. My goal, your happy soul. For more information, please visit my website at johannacarroll.com.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, bringing together gifted people of service to the world. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka, and one of those people of service is our guest this hour, Andres Gonzalez. He's the Director of Marketing for the Holistic Life Foundation. Andres, how do people, so one of our listeners will go, I really want to incorporate that. I really want to start bringing this into my arena. How would they go about that? How would they find you?
Well, they could just reach out to us. Actually, they could just email me. My email is my first name, so it's Andres at hlfinc.org. And what we can do is we go out to other areas and we provide trainings for individuals in their areas. So we can cater to their needs in whatever way they would like, and it'll look different depending on exactly what it is they need. But the goal is to go in, find individuals in the community, train them in our tactics, our techniques, let them know about the structure of our classes, how to get youth engaged, how to get people involved, and then kind of let them just go ahead and start facilitating the programs. We could go out and do it all ourselves, but we don't feel like that's a very, very a very effective way, especially when, I'm from Baltimore. So I know the Baltimore slang. I know what people like in Baltimore. I dress like the people in Baltimore, so I can relate to them. But if I were to go to California or to Mexico or to Canada, I'm stick out a little. And the goal is to find people in their communities and train them. So it's that same thing we were talking about earlier about how the youth are empowered when they're teachers. Well, it's the same thing about gaining that ownership towards your community and feeling empowered about making your neighborhood better. And I don't know how often it's been that we've got gentlemen who initially were on the streets and were bringing down the value of their neighborhoods by selling drugs or doing illegal things that now have decided, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to help my neighborhood. I want to help out the individuals, and I want to increase the value here. And now they're the ones out there that are doing the teaching and are doing the classes and are impacting the kids and saying, hey, don't do what I did. There's two different paths you can take here in life, and I think that it really shows the children that, hey, man, like if I'm gonna pick something, I have two roads, and I want to pick this good road where I'm helping people and I'm spreading love. So I think our goal is always to kind of spread these techniques to everyone, to share as much as we can, to be a resource, to be a support system for them, and we can always come to you and provide trainings.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So you're a nonprofit. Where do you folks get your funding?
So a wide variety of sources. We have some local foundations. We also have some national foundations that support us. I would say that'd be around 35 to 40% of our revenue stream, and then the rest would be a combination of fee-for-service. That's where the majority of stuff comes. So that's when we go and provide, like I said, either to a drug rehab or a mental health facility or a school, or if we do a speaking engagement or a workshop or a breakout session. Those fees, we charge a fee for those services. And then lastly, the smallest portion would be individual donors. You can always just donate to us if you believe in our work and feel like this is something that you want to support. And
where can people contribute to the Holistic Life Foundation?
They can go to our website. It's www.hlfinc.org, and right there in the first front section it says, "How can I help?" And you just click that, and they can make a donation towards us. Or again, you can just reach out to me, and if it's not something financial, if they would like to send us something, just get in contact with me, and we can figure out a way that we can be able to communicate and a means for you to be able to provide whatever it is that you might want to provide to support us in our cause.
Wonderful. Have you seen a reduction in behavior problems where this program is being implemented?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, beyond the entire climate and culture of the school kind of transforming due to that compassion that's going on, that love that's kind of emanating in the building, things like in an elementary school, the same elementary school that's in that the epicenter where the uprising happened with Freddie Gray. Last year was one of the first years that it had 0 suspensions. And we've been getting a lot of publicity in that regard of how the school replaced detentions with meditation. It was more of a byproduct of it. So, you can still get suspended from the school. If little Johnny comes to elementary school with a gun, he's getting suspended. You can't do that. So, but I think a lot of it is, the kids, instead of getting sent to the office, like I was saying earlier, they have the ability to get sent to our mindful moment room. And that's a room where we have staff there that will actively listen to the youth, lead them through some breath work, lead them through a meditation and say, hey, look, next time this happens, again, try doing this breath or try doing this meditation. And then we send them back to their classrooms. By then, they've already calmed themselves down. They can usually laugh throughout the whole day and they'll be fine, so they don't need to get suspended. And then the next day, if Johnny faces that same thing again, now he has a tool to be able to manage himself. So it ended up happening that, and we didn't even, again, we're just trying to provide people with tools to be able to take care of themselves. And we didn't even think that it would do something like drop suspensions to 0. But again, it's just a byproduct of what's happening. So you combine better behavior, less impulsivity, dealing with conflict peacefully for all the youth, them able to focus and concentrate more, leads to higher academic results. And then also I think it makes kids want to come to school more because they're having a better time. So we've noticed in our high school and in the elementary school a slight increase in attendance as well.
So the schools have to keep their own records of attendance, of suspensions, of all this stuff anyway. And so you can just follow along how that changes once you implement your program. Is that how some of the studies are being done?
Exactly, yeah. So every school here in Baltimore has to do like a climate report, and that climate report will list attendance, grade scores, suspensions, fights, altercations, any and everything that happened throughout the school year. So we get a lot of our data from that. But we've also done studies. So we had the first ever randomized controlled trial study done on yoga, mindfulness, and urban youth. And the results of that came back positive, where it showed that it was helping children with concentrating, focusing, and getting rid of those ruminating thoughts, those thoughts in their head that don't allow them to be present. We also have got another study that was done that was funded by the National Institute of Drug Administration. It was a little larger scaled version, so it was almost twice as the size of the first study. And they did a little more in terms of searching for physiological data as well. So beyond the cognitive results, they did skin folds, they did lung capacity, they did their flexibility, and we're still waiting on the results of that study to go as well. So usually when we're trying to collect data, someone reaches out to us, a doctor, a researcher, that are trying to say, hey, we believe in this, we think it's going to work. Can we come and do some data and some study on your program? We're like, heck yeah, whenever you need to. So we leave that to the experts because that's not our field. We just teach it to the practices. Yeah.
Very, very nice. So how long does it take to train in your method? So say, I decide I want to provide this for my community. I have a place to do it. How long would it take me to learn to do it?
I mean, I think it varies. It varies on what your initial practice is. If you have experience already meditating or doing yoga or in the mindfulness field, then I think it'll be a lot faster. We're wary of saying, hey, come to our weekend training and then right afterwards go out and teach. And the main thing is you really need to have done the work on yourself. Because kids, it can read you so easily. So if you're trying to BS them, it's not going to work. You have to be authentic. You have to be genuine with what it is you're talking to them about. And if I'm trying to do an exercise next to a kid and he looks at me like, man, you can't even do this. Why am I doing this? Or I see you getting frustrated. You're telling me to calm down, but I just saw you get angry. So if you're not embodying the practice yourself, it's going to be very difficult to be able to relay that message to the youth. So we do trainings that are week longs. We do weekends. We do multiple sessions where we keep coming back. And I really think it is, what is your comfort level and what do you feel you need to be able to start spreading these techniques. And again, a lot of our stuff is real basic, subtle techniques, simple breathing exercises, simple meditations that aren't overwhelming to someone who's first starting, just to get them to kind of buy in. And usually, if you can get them to just take that first step, then they start walking the path themselves. And that's kind of our goal. Our teacher always says, even the longest journey starts with one step. And we're just trying to get them to put that first foot on the path. And usually they'll start going at their own pace. So it varies, I really think it does, and we're here to support people. So anytime that they need anything, they can just reach out to us, and we can give them a list of our online trainings or trainings we have here in Baltimore, trainings we have in New York, or trainings we can do when we go out to other areas.
Nice. So we have about a minute left. What do you see as the future for the Holistic Life Foundation?
I think the future is for us to be in every city, in every country, and all over the world. Is to have this as a systematic part of education. That in every school there should be times for pause. There should be in the curriculum written somewhere that these techniques are provided to you so they can manage themselves. Not only is it going to help them physically, mentally, and emotionally, but it's going to help teachers and the culture and the climate of the school to be able to get the best results academically.
Andres,
and spread love all over the place too, by the way. So.
Yeah, spread love. That's the big one, isn't it?
LOVE. Oh yeah.
These young kids coming in, they are just such loving beings, and it seems like we're reverse engineering this, aren't you? Where you're sending the kids home with the love for the parents.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Beautiful. I can't thank you enough for being on our program and for the wonderful service you're doing our educational system and our communities. So thank you for being with us, Andres.
Thank you so much. Love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too, dear. Our guest this hour has been Andres A. Gonzalez. He's the Director of Marketing for the Holistic Life Foundation. Their website is hlfinc.org. This has been The Science of Magic. Remember, you can always listen to thought-provoking episodes on our website, thescienceofmagic.net. Don't forget to join us on the next episode of The Science of Magic. Until next time, dear ones, may you be blessed with knowledge, comforted with love, and embrace a better way.